And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. They are open Wednesday through Sunday for lunch and dinner. Get down, get yourself some fried chicken, some chicken tendies, some chicken dunkers. Get you some Galactic sauce, some crinkle fries, and all kinds of good stuff from our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken. Or when you download the app, they'll bring it to you pretty much everywhere in the 275 loop. So support our friends and get yourself some great fried chicken in the process. All right, Aaron, it's time. This one's actually kind of interesting. This is an interesting one to do.
Things are heating up.
Well, for somebody's torch was put out this week. I'm sure we'll get to that probably last when it comes to the conference championship race. But here we go. Put Aaron in the driver's seat. AAC recap. Here we go.
I'm not going to start in the order that I normally do. I usually go down the row in the way that ESPN displays them. But I want to start here. South Florida and Temple.
Mm-hmm.
South Florida loses, drops to 1-8, 28-54.
South Florida did the only thing they could do after this game.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that, right.
But Temple, I didn't know Temple was capable of 54. I don't know if Temple knew Temple was capable of 54.
Let's look, Aaron.
EJ Warner, 27 of 36, probably his best game ever. I don't even know that's arguable. 344 yards, 2 touchdowns. Edward Sadie, a sophomore running back, 24 carries, 265 yards. He did have a long of 75, 3 touchdowns there. And Jose Barbone, 8 receptions, 103 yards, a touchdown, all for Temple. They recovered 3 fumbles defensively.
Okay, I did the math. I took out the Louisiana Lafayette game because it's a bye game.
Sure.
They scored 0 against Duke, 14 against Rutgers. UMass, essentially also a bye game, but I put that in there. They scored 28. But we'll leave that in for now. And then 3 against Memphis, 13 against UCF, 16 against Tulsa, 20 against Navy. They scored 96 points in their other games. And if you take out the UMass game combined, if you take out the UMass game, 66 points against like actual FCS real opponents up until yesterday. Woof.
Like I said,
for me, that's the most surprising score in the country. Yesterday.
I don't know if Temple believed they were capable of scoring 54 points. And this you mentioned that this is the most surprising score. This is coming on the same weekend that Clemson lost, Alabama lost, and the highest score, is it right? The highest score ever, combined score?
So regular, like regulation. Like there have been, I think there was 1 or 2 higher scores in overtime games when overtime just like went in perpetuity and they didn't do like the new
2-point conversion thing. And yeah.
140 points, the most points. Well, we'll get to that.
So for South Florida, Travis Marsh he was 11 of 22, 176 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Brian Batty, he had 19 carries, 129 yards. And Xavier Weaver had 6 catches, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns. It was all for naught.
And then they fired their head coach because
you have to.
If you give up 50, and You want to know the craziest part about this? Guess how many points Temple scored in the first quarter?
I mean, I can see how many points they scored in the first quarter.
Well, I'm talking to our listeners. 3. They scored 51 points in 3 quarters against USF. I didn't know this. I knew Jeff Scott's record was bad at USF. He's only had 1 win over an FCS team.
It was 14-16 going into halftime.
Yeah.
South Florida down 2.
Yeah.
And then
16-14.
And then Temple blew the doors off in the second half.
You can't give up 54 points to Temple and expect to keep your job if you're Jeff Scott. Period. You had to walk into the office today with like your key card.
You knew.
An empty box. Like, this is for my shit. Here's my key card. I get it.
He knew. There's no way he didn't know. He didn't sleep last night.
No, well, I mean, he knew he was going to get paid to go away. So maybe he slept all right, but come on.
You still don't want to get fired from South Florida.
You still don't want to give up 54 points to Temple.
No.
You don't want to give up 54 points to Temple over like 3 seasons, much less in a half. In a half, essentially. In a half. Get out of here. You're out.
All right. Enough about that game. Tulane, the 19th ranked Tulane, did what they've done all season, and they beat another team, standing at 8-1. In stark contrast to the last team we talked about, South Florida, at 1-8. Tulsa drops to 3-6, 27-13. Your final there.
Michael, I do have one question.
Well, Michael Pratt, 11 for 19, 125 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Not a great day for him. They had 2 rushers, though, over 100 yards, and Tyjae Spears and Shady. I think that's how you say it. Shaadie. I'd assume that's Shady. Clayton Johnson. I've not seen that name emerge from Tulane as of yet this season. Each of them had 14 carries. Tyjae Spears went for 157 and a touchdown. Shady went for 106. That's about it there. As far as their offense.
Are you surprised Michael Pratt was only 11 of 19 for 125 yards in this game?
In a game that you scored 27 points, yes. Because we watched Ben Bryant go for almost 300, and we only put up 20.
Well, I mean, they ran for 357 yards.
There is that. Sure.
53 carries, 357 yards. But look, and maybe this is game plan oriented, but they don't necessarily have a running quarterback. They run kind of a spread option type attack where the quarterback is not much of a running threat.
Tulsa
if you're going to run the ball 53 times against Cincinnati, I'm going to take my chances that UC wins.
Tulsa also only had 257 yards of offense.
Pratt had 11 carries for 36 yards and was sacked. He was only sacked 2 times.
It's not a great day for him. He generally has more on with his legs, but I don't know. Did Tulane jump up this week? I didn't even check. We'll get to that at the end, I'm sure.
I think they went up to like 16.
Okay.
I had some family stuff. We had
I haven't even looked. Yeah, we actually had guests over as well today. So
stuff to do.
Yeah. UCF was handed out. They were handed a bone.
Yeah.
But
they should have lost. Memphis should have won this game.
35-28. They jump up to 7-2. Memphis drops to 4-5. Man, Memphis is in shambles right now.
It's not going great. It's not going great for Memphis. You're getting left behind. You're not even able to really put up much of a fight on your way on the way out.
And pro rata needing to have a P5 team to make more money in the conference.
You're not You're done. You're not.
Unless the AAC decides that they want you there. That's your only hope right now if you're Memphis. But
The ACC.
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah. The AAC will never let Memphis go. They love them very much.
I'll never let you go, Memphis. Mikey Keene, 22 of 28, 219, 3 touchdowns and a pick. RJ Harvey, 17 carries, 151 yards and a touchdown. Definitely building on what he did last week with Cincinnati.
Is there a QB controversy brewing in Orlando?
There has to be. Has to be. John Rice Plumlee, yes, he hung up 70 this season. Sure.
Against Temple.
Correct. And the fan base is clamoring for Mikey Keene.
Yeah.
He's playing very well, and I don't know if you're on the fence at all about John Rice Plumlee. I don't know how you say, Mikey Keene, you gotta go sit down. This was his job.
Yeah,
he's doing everything right.
John Rice Plumlee is a running back playing quarterback.
John Rice Plumlee loses to Cincinnati, I believe.
Yeah, I'm with you.
If he finishes that game out, I do not see
Cincinnati wins.
There was an emotion. There was an emotional turn in that game when Mikey Keene took over.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But they were super balanced. 204 yards rushing, 223 yards receiving. Well done, UCF. I know. I was listening. I didn't watch the game, but I was listening to the brunch this morning as I was producing it, and I guess there was a 4th and 15 in. And they Memphis went for it in UCF's territory early on. Didn't get it.
No.
UCF gets it, turns around and scores on a short field. I believe it was like 39 yards or something to go. But you can't do that.
15. What are you doing?
It's not Madden. Like there's
Screw
actual
it.
Screw
it. We're going.
There's actual stakes here. Like,
is that the actual conversation in the like the coaches? Screw it.
No, that's not it.
Screw it.
Hey,
we're going.
Coach, we're running punt team out there. Nah, fuck it.
Yeah, I was just censoring for this podcast.
Since when do you censor?
On this podcast, I censor a little bit.
I didn't know that was the thing you did.
I don't think I said that word one time in the BBP tonight.
It's a rare day for you.
I didn't get worked up about. There wasn't a whole lot to get worked up about.
So UCF's going to be a problem, and we'll get into the standings here.
I think Tulane handles them.
We'll get into the standings here in a bit. As we get, obviously, we know what happened with Navy and Cincinnati. We covered that tonight on the BBP. We covered it this morning on the Bearcat Brunch. PTP will do a little last-minute recap on Tuesday, and I'm sure you'll get anything else you want to hear about the Navy game. You will get between
right
last-minute thoughts on the BCJ pod and the Rock of Truth later on this week. I think in this space anyway, on the nightcap, we are done talking about Navy.
I'm over it.
But Houston SMU.
Holy
shit.
What the fuck?
Holy shit.
Houston scored 63 points and lost by 2 touchdowns. That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard in a football game. Kelvin Sampson is furious with his defense and rebounding.
Not enough tip balls.
Not enough. They put the dome on the rim for nothing.
Clayton Tune finishes 36 of 53, 527 yards, 7 touchdowns, seven touchdowns, 3 picks.
Imagine your favorite quarterback.
I'm not done with Clayton Tune.
Okay.
Also had 12 carries, 111 yards, and a touchdown. This dude had 638 all-purpose yards. 638, 8 touchdowns, 3 picks.
Lost by 2 scores.
You're crying on the bus ride back home.
Lost by 2 scores.
You're crying on the bus ride back home to Houston. What?
You
What did I do wrong, God? What did I do wrong?
The absolute game of your life. You will never have that game ever. Look, we joke about video game like that's a bit. You can't do this in a video game.
I mean, you can.
I mean, on easy, like if you put it on easy, like.
No,
but but here's the thing. Here's the difference, Aaron. When you put it on easy, the other team doesn't score 63 and have their quarterback account for almost 700 yards and 8 touchdowns.
If you're playing matchup 1-on-1 and you're both on easy, then yeah, this happens.
Okay. I still disagree.
Houston had 3 receivers over 100 yards with Nathaniel Dell leading the way, 13 catches, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, 2 other receivers. I don't know their names. I'm not even looking them up. Both over 100 yards. Unreal. And now we'll get to SMU. Tanner Mordecai, 28 of 37, 379 yards.
That's it? Only 378?
Only 379.
Soft. Garbage.
Trash. 9 touchdowns.
Oh, okay. 9 touchdowns. 9 touchdowns passing.
He had 7 by halftime, by the way.
Yeah, 7 at half.
8 carries for Tanner Mordecai, 54 yards and a touchdown. So he had 10 touchdowns.
70 points.
Oh my God.
I guess you have to take away the
Tyler
60 points.
Tyler Levine had 25 carries.
No, you didn't hit my favorite stat. He accounted for 10 touchdowns.
10 touchdowns.
9 incompletions.
9 incompletions.
10 touchdowns.
Yeah. Tyler Levine, 25 carries, 146 yards, and a touchdown. And the only receiver to hit 100 yards, Dylan Goffney, had 3 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. Rashee Rice, 9 catches, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Ashy Rice.
They had 3 receivers with more than 1 touchdown. 3 receivers with more than 1 touchdown. 3 receivers with more than 1 touchdown.
It's it has to be one of the top 10 most absurd box scores in the history of the sport. Right?
There's so many stats you could pull from this.
Yeah.
I didn't see this one. Houston only had 6 people catch the ball. Only had 6 people catch the ball. Only one of them did not have a touchdown. Everyone else had a touchdown.
Poor Stacy Snead, 4 catches, 52 yards, didn't get in the
end zone. How mad would you be though if Christian Trahan had 1 catch, 1 yard, 1 touchdown?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
I mean, I guess the difference in this game, like if we're gonna do this right, Clayton Tune had 3 interceptions, which put Houston or SMU in short field situations that they were able to capitalize. That's why they didn't have more yards. Yeah. They would have more yards if it wasn't for the 3 interceptions.
Clayton Tune's like, man, I wish I could have those 3 back.
You left some plays out there.
Could have had 800 yards in the game.
Left some plays out there. 36 completions, 527 yards, 7 touchdowns. Left some plays out there, man. Just left too many throws out on the field, Aaron.
So now as we look around the conference, Tulane stands atop.
Houston fans are probably calling for the backup.
Tulane's at 5-0 in conference. UCF at 4-1, tied.
Come on! That was outstanding. Come on!
Cincinnati and UCF tied at 4-1. Obviously, UCF has the tiebreaker there. SMU at 3-2, ECU at 3-2, Houston at 3-2.
So yeah, Houston with their second loss. They were, because of their quote unquote weak schedule, they don't play Cincinnati, they don't play UCF. They will not be playing those teams until they're in the Big 12 at this point. That was really the only clarity we got this week. Cincinnati's got a tough one with ECU. We'll talk about that extensively as we go throughout the week. And then, the other defining game of this American Conference race happens on Saturday as Tulane and UCF square off in New Orleans.
And they almost made College Game Day, but
yeah, I think that's bullshit. The game day should have been. Tulane hasn't hosted or hasn't played. Tulane as a ranked team has not played another ranked team since 1949.
Well, and Texas is the highest ranked 3-loss team in the country.
Aaron,
what are we doing? It's stupid. It's stupid. I don't
19. When was your mom born?
Look, I don't know the answer to that.
My dad was born in 1957. My dad was -8 the last time Tulane played as a ranked team against another ranked team.
That's crazy.
They were, Aaron.
-8.
What conference do you think Tulane was in when that happened?
Did they have conferences back then?
Yes, they had conferences back then. What conference do you think Tulane was in when they played a ranked team as another ranked team?
Conference USA was not yet born.
No, not until like the 90s.
Yeah.
You're never going to, I could give you 30 guesses. I don't think you'll get this one.
Okay, then just tell me.
The SEC.
I would not have guessed that.
Ever.
No shot. No shot.
They were in the SEC. I think it was LSU. LSU and Tulane played, and both teams are ranked. That's the last time Tulane has been a ranked team and played another ranked team.
As we look at the AP polls, though, Tulane at 16, as you mentioned, and you have UCF at 22, Cincinnati right there at 26.
Yeah.
Another team worth mentioning, Liberty at 19.
They're not worth mentioning.
If you're looking at New Year's 6 bowls,
no, they're independent.
They can't make it. I thought Liberty could make it. No,
they're independent.
All right, I guess not.
What Aaron? What do they call it?
I'm sorry.
The G5 bid to the New Year's 6.
I thought they could make it.
You have to be in a Group of 5 conference to get the Group of 5 bid.
That was poor negotiating by the independents. They should have clamored for that.
Yeah, well, Notre Dame was like, y'all, we're good. We're good. You guys.
I don't know. Notre Dame might have been okay being a guaranteed New Year's 6 bowl every year.
They're a guaranteed New Year's 6 bowl every year anyway, as long as they're good.
Oh, touche.
They don't care what Liberty and BYU are doing.
Tulane,
that's not their concern.
Tulane in the coaches poll 17, UCF at 21, and Cincinnati is behind Coastal Carolina at 27.
But if Cincinnati beats Tulane and wins the American Conference Championship, they will move ahead of Coastal Carolina, regardless of what happens. Sure. Dude, this was so long AAC recap.
There were some interesting games actually this week when you have the highest scoring regulation game and the stats,
in the history of college football.
The stats you can make from that. There was a coach fired because Temple put up 54.
Look, the AAC is getting spicy, bro. That's why you have to look at, maybe doing this show a couple times a year.
What's not going to be fun is next week when we have to cover the AAC in both football and basketball, because I can't wait for that.
Nah, I don't know that we'll do an AAC recap in basketball until we get a little deeper
into conference play.
Nah, maybe December. Maybe December.
I'm not really trying to talk about whoever, like if they're playing as Shaman not equal.
No. Maybe December we'll start dabbling in AAC, but we're gonna do this until the regular season is over for sure.
Can't wait for the season to be over.
All right, that's gonna wrap it up. Thanks for joining us. Maybe tomorrow night. Well, tomorrow night we're gonna talk about basketball. The NFL guys, we'll talk about you some other time. We'll see you next time. Thanks to Galactic Fried Chicken. This is the Nightcap right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!